Hello and welcome to Victoria University's online graduate information series, where tonight we'll be discussing our graduate programs in information technology. I would like to begin by offering an acknowledgement of the Boonwurrung and the Woiwurrung, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we are recording this webinar tonight. My name is Emily Bodie. I'm the Future Students Program Manager here at VU, and joining me in the hot seat tonight we have Dr. Kandakar Ahmed. Kandakar, welcome.
Thank you, Emily.
So Kandakar is the course chair for our Graduate Certificate of Cybersecurity and also teaches in a number of our IT courses at Victoria University. In addition to this, he has been an extensive industry engagement worker and has worked as the chief investigator on a number of projects which are currently in market, including the Internet of Things, Smart City, cybersecurity, biomedical informatics and machine learning. Kandakar, some terms I'm not 100% familiar with. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown about some of these projects and what they mean and what the community is able to contribute to them?
Sure. So maybe I give example of a couple of the projects that at this stage I'm doing. So in one project I'm a lead investigator, and in another project I'm a chief investigator. So one of the projects that we just delivered, and it will run for another 3 years, is a smart city project with Maribyrnong City Council. So it's called Fuske Smart City Social Cohesion Platform. So the idea is VU and Maribyrnong City Council MCC jointly apply for a funding. It's a funding of 850K. And then another industry partner joined us, which is One Wi-Fi. So One Wi-Fi actually deployed a number of sensors across the precinct. The sensors include weather sensors, air quality monitoring sensors, water quality monitoring sensors, pedestrian counting, vehicle counting, cycle counting, all different types of sensors. The sensors are continuously sending data to a platform set up in cloud, and we here in VU fetching that data through an API and storing it in the database for historical purposes, but at the same time we are visualizing that data through a social cohesion platform. The term called social cohesion because the idea is to involve the community. So it has 3 modules, for example. In the city discovery module, community can go and see the data visualization. Planning module, the council people can use this data set for planning purposes. And in the innovation module, actually, we are planning to use allow our students to use this data set to do different exciting projects. So that's, for example, one. The other one that I'm doing, that will give an example that how IT is working across the multiple disciplines. So one of the projects that I'm working with School of Visitor Economy and Tourism Industry. Now there's also a federal government funded projects. So each year they call BRI, government put through some challenges, and one of the challenges was in tourism sector, that how we can bring the insights of the data and give assist the investors to see the balance between demand and supply. So my team is working on collecting or fetching, extracting all the accommodation data set and do the trend analysis, and as well as assist doing the forecasting. Now, for example, if an investor think that, okay, I would like to build a house or cottage and put it in the Airbnb, over the next 5 years, what will be my revenue? And what are the things that I should look for? What are the tourists feels most important for them? And we're also doing sentiment analysis from the social network, because tourists, when they go somewhere, they put their impression, express their likings or dislikings. So we can classify them, and we use machine learning there to classify. And if they dislike, what are the particular reason they dislike, so that we can improve it. Fantastic.
And what's led you from both the field now into education?
Exactly. Beginning when I started my undergraduate, my main passion was just the computer science. I was not thinking whether I'm going to the corporate world or in the education sector or not. So I was studying bachelor completely from my passion, but I end up with doing good result in academy, and I started liking it. And somehow, I feel that okay, this academic people has the opportunity to do the creative things. They don't sit in one corner of the platform, because I also worked in the software industry for a while, and I used to work in a lab. Only my manager used to appreciate me, and I'm developing the different sites and different things. But one time I start feeling that it's monotonous, and I'm not exposed to everyone, and I'm not doing many different varieties, interesting things. So I visited one of the university at that time, and I saw that one of the academic is taking a class and he's talking, and I felt like, oh, I think that should be my place. So there was a circular in that university. I applied and I got the opportunity to get involved. And then I love this sector so much that I kept on working on it for a decade almost. And recently and finally I did PhD from RMIT, and then I joined in VU, and it's moving on and on.
So it sounds like the fields of cybersecurity and IT are rapidly evolving, changing. They're not a static kind of field like some industries are. Can you give us some indication about how you see these industries evolving, or how they've evolved in the last couple of years?
Overall, if you see the IT is the way that things are moving, where our life is getting digitalized. We are putting everything into cyberspace or space. IT's demand will be always there, but there is a transformation happening. Over the last few years or the next few years, the transformation that we will see is the high demand we will see across cybersecurity, machine learning, and data science. On the other, one night, yesterday we were having a meeting, and our dean was saying that once people used to look at the sky and look at the star and thinks that, okay, star decides what I should do, whether I should marry or not. Then people rely on the religion. Then people move on the, human mind, that listen to your heart. And now sort of like look at the data, what data is saying, right? So once these things are getting, we are putting everything, for example, our personal information, our financial information, our health information, everything we are putting into the cyberspace. So the cyberspace is becoming so critical. At the same time, we are digitalizing it, but at the same time, it is becoming very, very important to secure it. And with the sophistication of these new technologies, launching the different attacks also becoming very easy. And therefore, you can see recently the demand for cybersecurity is very, very high, because as an organization, you have to protect your organization. As a government, you have to protect your country. And one of the instances was on the 17th June, Australia faced a series of attacks and state-sponsored attack. We haven't mentioned the name of the country, but the government has some assumption. But a series of attack happens. The attacker was either trying to breach the data or trying to do the surveillance and see what traffic is going on, and so on and so forth. So cybersecurity is really getting very, very important. Now, not for the students that the job demand is high, but it is critical for organization and government as well.
And I think a lot of people watching at home or on the train or wherever they might be can certainly notice that we're sitting 1.5 metres apart, in line with the government restrictions due to COVID-19. I think that cybersecurity and IT really is at the forefront of people's mind now, as we continue to spend more time looking at screens on Zoom calls or on WebEx calls, or learning and working from our homes, our living rooms, our bedrooms even. How have you seen that play into the field of cybersecurity, or what additional precautions are we taking to make sure that we are safe and all that information that we're putting online is secured?
Yeah, so we were seeing the trend, and suddenly whenever due to the COVID, we started working from home. The demand for IT platforms increases rapidly. If we just take the example of our university, we have so many large campuses, and it used to be full with the students and academics. Suddenly, within a 1 week notice, we went back to home, but we haven't done any disruption. We are still teaching, running the exams, everything is going on. So if you see, VU decided to use the Zoom as a platform to teach. We started calling it as a virtual classroom. We're not saying this is a recorded lecture, because we are doing a one-to-one lecture, but we are calling it as a virtual classroom. We are running the tests and assessments. So forefront or worker is not at this stage just the health workers or the security people or the police, but IT people as well. Because when our university, for example, went to work from home or remote learning, after a couple of weeks, I came to collect my laptop, and I found that our ITS people are working. They did a rostering, and they're continuously working, because they have to make sure that everything is going smoothly. Now let's take an example of security. Now when we suddenly moved to taking the class with the Zoom, we found that there are some vulnerability with the Zoom. Zoom members can enter into the classroom and put an awkward situation, either they play music or awkward screenshots or etc., and that disrupt your entire class environment. So suddenly we decided a couple of the things. For example, one thing university decided, not to record anything, record the classroom, and the second thing decided to put the password so that only the students has a password and it becomes secured. So this sort of reactive things also we are doing, but of course it's becoming really, really important now because so many things are now online happening, and you see the state-owned sponsored attack is happening. So there is a high chance that attacker can steal information, steal the valuable information in terms of education, in terms of economy, in terms of finance. So it's becoming more critical to secure this space.
So breaches in security, I mean, the Zoom bombers can range from comical to quite malicious.
True.
Can we have a bit of an example about some of the recent data breaches that Australia might have experienced and what risk they put companies and individuals at?
So I was, before coming, I was looking at many different breaches, and I found that every month there are so many breaches are happening, but all of the breaches are not coming into the media. We usually know the attack when something comes into the media, but so many are being reported and so many are not reported. So let's take one example from 2018. It came to the media because the extent of the attack was very, very large. They launched the attack worldwide. So what the attacker did, they actually exploited the vulnerability of the Windows, and using that Windows vulnerability, they can remotely log into a computer. And what they did, they actually encrypt the data of the victim and leave the data on the victim's computer. But victim cannot access this data, because to access the data, he has to decrypt the data, and to decrypt, he needs the key. And the attacker is asking for a ransom amount of money to give the key back. So this is called ransomware attack. Now, Australia's few of the organizations got that attack as well, but overall in the world, NHS, National Health Service in UK, got a serious problem because their database was encrypted or was attacked by this ransomware attack. Also in June 2020, one of our health sector, one of the clinics, medical health was compromised, and the patient's record was exposed. You know that our government has started a My Health, but people haven't opted in that much because people still have the trust issue. Should I put my entire health records into there, and how secure it is, because we can see a lot of compromises happening.
So prior to COVID-19, IT and cybersecurity jobs were booming, and I think employability is really at the forefront of people's minds now as we continue to, hopefully try to continue to ease up restrictions. Are we anticipating that this job growth will continue, or is there a different trend that you're seeing on the horizon?
So there was a different speculation. Some people were saying, cybersecurity job demand started from 2014, 15, 16, and was peak probably in 17, 18, and probably will come down. But due to the COVID and due to the overall situation, it's actually increasing a lot, and now it becomes serious issue. For an organization point of view, for example, all of the organization now either have to have their own cybersecurity team, or they have to outsource it to the different organization. Otherwise, your insurance premium will increase. If any breach happened, then the business got a huge loss because of the trust issue from the client, So cybersecurity demand is still increasing. In Australia, right at this moment, for example, there is a short of over 2,000 straightway workers, but it is estimated that around over 15,000 workers will be in demand or shortage by 2026, whereas overall the worldwide it is almost 1 million.
So what's VU doing as part of our postgraduate programs in IT and cybersecurity to prepare these students to enter the workforce?
So how VU is preparing, for example, VU is doing from 2 points of view. One, VU is a large organization, so they have to protect themselves. And cybersecurity is not just technology, it's a practice, it's a management. So it involves use of technology, how you are practicing it, whether your employees are aware of it, and how you are managing it. So VU itself established a VU cyber team within the ITS, that is an independent team, who is looking after VU to how to protect this large organization. And in parallel, we started a course called Graduate Certificate of Cybersecurity. And Graduate Certificate of Cybersecurity is specifically created in a way that people, IT professionals who are working and thinking of moving to cybersecurity space, or they want to do the upskilling, they can come. Or a number of people who probably did a graduation, but they are not in the professional job they are doing, and now they want to come back to the profession, so they can also take this course. And this course is designed in a way that it has, for example, 4 units. It has fundamental of cybersecurity that mostly teaches what are the different types of attacks, what are the vulnerability, how you can launch an attack, but of course in an ethical way. So we call it ethical hacking. So we demonstrate and gives hands-on experience to the students that how to launch some ethical hacking and how to protect it. We have another unit called enterprise security management. So there they actually learn and use 2 commercial product or commercial solution or software to do the risk analysis. What are the different risks you have? What are the assets you have? What are the vulnerability? What are the risks associated? And how you can mitigate that risk. So they learn how to do the enterprise security management. Another unit, they do cloud security, because everything is moving into cloud. So if you transfer your infrastructure into cloud, how you can secure your data, because cloud can take the responsibility of the hardware part, but your data is your responsibility. So you have to make sure that how it is secured. And another one is cybersecurity law, regulations and policy. And often people only think about the technology, but there is a huge job demand for law, regulations and policy, because you need to know what is the regulation, what is the law in your country or is worldwide. Are you as an organization maintaining all these law regulations or not? So there are a lot of jobs in that part as well. And we have cybersecurity law, regulations and policy. This unit is taught by one of our VU policy manager, Raymond, and each year or each semester we also invite around 8 to 10 industry people who are working in different sectors in cybersecurity, who come talk about their experience, meet and greet with our students. All of the cybersecurity units is also integrated with our Masters of IT program. So if our students who are doing Masters of IT, they can also do all these 4 units and they can specialize in cybersecurity.
So you've spoken about industry coming in to speak with our students as part of these graduate programs. We've kind of built some of these courses from the ground up with industry input. How much input do those industry partners or connections or networks continue to have in these courses? So
we are glad. I said I'm very glad when I took the role of course chairing of cybersecurity, is getting VU Cyber team very helpful, and most of our industry connection is happening through our VU Cyber team, because many of the industry are the client of our VU Cyber team, because they are supplying tools to our university, and also we are supplying solution to them. So it's an ongoing relation. The relation is not that they just come and talk in terms of education purposes. Either they are our client or we are their client. So it is an ongoing relation. I give you an example. Say CAMP's risk management is one of the company here, and our VU Cyber do the risk management using their solution. So their CEO came and give a talk, and our students get really excited, and in our class also we use their platform to teach how to do the risk management. So one of our students did a internship in camps, and she did really good, and she is doing full-time job there now. So this sort of different ongoing continuous relation we have, because we are using either their solution or they are using our expertise or our students' help. For example, in 2019, we had around 6 projects where 12 students work for 4 industry on different small projects. So they have their problem, they give the problem, and our students try to solve them. So that's sort of engaging relation we are trying to build here.
So you mentioned one of our students working with an industry partner as part of the course and then going on to gain a role within that company. What kind of roles are available for graduates once they come out of an IT or a cybersecurity course?
So it can be cybersecurity analyst, network security, penetration testing. There can be ethical hacker. There can be system administrator. There are varieties of roles. And for example, the cybersecurity analyst, I was looking at that continuously. If you just search, you can see so many jobs are out there, because there is a problem, students we often say that, where is the job? And if you go to industry, they say, we don't find the right people. Their cyber CEO Nitin was telling me that they were taking interview, and there were people who even know a very basic of cybersecurity was asking for a huge salary. So if we look at the cybersecurity analyst salary range, that ranges from $75,000 to $120,000. So there are varieties of job, depends on from what point the graduate will start. If the graduate may start with a security analyst, or as a penetration tester, or as a network security expert. So there are varieties of roles.
Understandable, and probably very similar to many other fields, a variety of incomes and a variety of jobs that are available. What's your kind of experience been like when you've been teaching these students, or how have you enjoyed your time at BU?
When I go to the classroom in for example, the cybersecurity units, as I said, that our graduate certificate of cybersecurity units are integrated or incorporated with our Masters of IT program. So when I go to the classroom, I have the students where they have an extensive IT background. They are working in IT and came here to do the upskilling in cybersecurity. At the same time, I have students who just finished their bachelor and came to do the masters, don't have the IT backgrounds. So making the balance is challenging for me, but also opportunity is knowledge sharing. So for example, in one class I have this situation. What I did, I made 5 groups. In each group I put one of the person who has lots of IT background, and he's working in IT industry. And it was an amazing experience that not only I was teaching, I learned a lot. In this today's series, even I was thinking to invite one of my ex-student, Neil. He even was a Vice Chancellor medalist because of his highest GPA across the university, and he did the graduate certificate of cybersecurity program. So, but due to the COVID and social distancing, we could not accommodate him. But when he was in the class, I mean, he was sharing so much knowledge with the other, and I was learning also many things from him. So it is an excellent experience for me. I actually enjoy. So if I don't teach, I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah.
Because whenever I teach, and if I have a good class and good conversation, and I come back, I feel really good.
I think that really supports the idea of us being lifelong learners as well.
Exactly.
So good to know that you're enjoying a symbiotic relationship with the students as well.
And IT is actually one of the applied subjects, and all of the applied subjects, they're kept on changing. So what I learned 15 years before as a computer science graduate has changed a lot. So we continuously learn. I even myself continuously do different courses in Coursera or different online courses to learn myself.
Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time, Kandikar. We've got some questions coming through from our audience, and they're keen to get your insights on some of these questions. So I might kick off with the first one that's come through. Do we prepare students to defend against cyber attacks, and what would that look like?
So, for example, in the fundamental of cybersecurity, you just give maybe a couple of the labs that we teach them. So we teach them social engineering attack, how to launch a cross-site scripting, how to launch mass mailer attack, phishing attack. So in the theory we teach, and in the lab we give them some tool and tell them to launch such attack. So they actually, because if you don't launch such attack, if you don't do the hacking, you don't understand how to defend it. So they do this hacking first, and after they understand why this is possible. What are the vulnerabilities they are aware? So how you can stop the vulnerabilities? So how you can defend yourself? That is one point of view. There is another called setup program. Setup program is actually, now everyone is not an IT people. Everyone is not doing the technology. But to protect an organization, everyone has to be the part of it. For example, VU Cyber recently launched a simulation. They send a simulated phishing email to see how many staff click it and install it. And around 60% staff click it. It was a phishing attack. And huge percentage of attack happens through phishing attack. So all these different techniques we try to teach and accommodate within the 4 units. I must confess that there are so many things to learn, but this course will excite them, will give them the foundation, give them the driving license to drive, then up to the students that they will explore the rest of the cybersecurity world by driving themselves.
So another question we have here is, why is Australia so behind the rest of the world when it comes to cybersecurity? Do you think we're behind the rest of the world, first of all?
First of all, I don't think we are behind because, as I said, it is a continuous process. If you look at, I always, the first class that I give an example, that virus, virus is same like our virus that we get, human get affected. Every year you take a flu shot, but flu shot only protects you from all the virus that has been discovered up until last year. And every year, on an average, around another 113 type of virus that get produced, you are not protected from that flu shot, from those viruses. So people sometimes complain, I took a flu shot, still I got the flu, because those viruses you are not protected. So virus comes first, protection comes after, unfortunately.
Yep.
So we are not behind. It is the same trend is happening. Sometime due to the many reasons, reaction is slow, but I think Australian government understands this very well, and I think recently in 17 June in the press briefing, Prime Minister mentioned that they are going to revise their cybersecurity strategy and probably going to put more lot of funding. I would like to also tell that Australian government also started a program called Global Talent Independent Program, and through that program they actually attracting all the global talent across five fields, and one of the field is cybersecurity. So you can understand how crisis is there and how Australia is trying to meet the demand in two ways. One way is educating, training, creating our own workforce domestically, and also attracting the global talent so that we can quickly fill the gap.
A virus, certainly a very apt analogy for our time, I think. I think that sums it up really, really well. And I think we've got time for one final question. What is a penetration tester?
Okay, so penetration testing basically, I try to penetrate my system and see how it goes. So there are two types of penetration testing. One is called black box penetration, actually three types: black box, white box, and gray box. So one could be the case that I hired a third party. This is my organization. You were, for example, the third party. I hired you, and what your team will do, your team will try all possible way to break my security, okay, and then give me a report that these are the vulnerability and this is the way we break it. This is called black box penetration testing. And another is a white box. White box is my system. So in the black box, you don't know anything about my system, how my network is deployed, how my system is deployed. But in the white box, you know everything inside of my system, and then you try to break it. And gray box is partial information. So in summary, penetration tester actually what they do, they try all possible way to penetrate organization system, do different type of breaching, and then give a report, so that organization take the precautions to stop all those or mitigate all those vulnerabilities.
So that would tie into that ethical hacking that we were speaking about earlier. Of
course. So one of the things that we have to do in the class, every time we teach them different hacking skill, at the beginning we say this is ethical hacking, this is the purpose of this hacking is just to learn. You are not entitled to launch attack to any of the real websites. So we create some dummy website or platform where they can launch the attack and practice.
So using their powers for good and not evil.
Exactly. I myself probably quickly tell you one thing. In 2018, when I was developing one of the unit, Fundamental of Cybersecurity, so I was practicing, and it is so easy to launch an attack. I just found a tool, take a tool, launch it from my command prompt, and I made one of the actual website down for a few seconds. Okay, and it was intermittent, so a few seconds down, then go up, and then a few seconds down. So it's a sort of denial of service attack. So I make that server too much busy, so it was responding slow. The next day I got a call from ITS that we found that a huge traffic was going from your computer. That particular organization also reached our ITS saying that a lot of traffic was coming from these IP addresses. I said, all right, I'm sorry. My intention is just to test it. Then ITS helped me in setting up we call it Metasploitable. Metasploitable is actually a vulnerable platform which has all the vulnerabilities so that you can test it.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's just about all we have time for today. I'd like to really sincerely thank you, Kandakar, for coming in to share with us some of your expertise, your knowledge, and a little bit of information as well about what VU has to offer in the postgraduate information technology space. So a copy of this webinar will be emailed out to you in the coming days. You'll also have a very small opportunity to book in a one-to-one consultation with a member of the postgraduate academic staff to have any of the questions that we weren't able to get to answered. Thank you again, Kandika. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the next instalment of VU's Graduate Online Information Series. Have a good night.